Let's dive into the eerie tale shared by Zishui. This story was told to him by his cousin during a chat 2 years ago. The cousin recounted an experience of a childhood friend, whom we'll call Zishai. Zishai and Zishui's cousin grew up together in a hutong in Beijing's Sikang district. They lived close to each other and often played together as kids. Zishui also remembered playing with them. Although Zishui wasn't particularly close to Zishai, he had a vivid memory of him. Zishai moved away from the hutong when he was less than 10 years old. The most striking thing Zishui remembered about Zishai was his poor eyesight. Zishai had been wearing thick glasses for nearsightedness since first grade, and the glasses even had a strap to keep them in place. Zishui also recalled that Zishai was a bit odd. After dinner, Zishai never came out to play. Among the kids they played with, there was a rumor that Zishai didn't come out because he had seen a ghost one night and had been scared. It was said that his eyes could see things that normal people couldn't. Zishui's cousin has kept in touch with Zishai over the years. He told Zishui that Zishui's eyes were indeed different from those of ordinary people. Zishai could see things that normal people couldn't see. Zishai had explained to him that his eyes were actually quite normal, just nearsighted. However, when he was about to get sick or when he stayed up late and his body was extremely tired, his eyes would become uncomfortable, dry and itchy. He couldn't resist rubbing them with his hands. Once he started rubbing, it became addictive and he couldn't stop. Eventually, his eyes would become bloodshot, tear up uncontrollably and feel extremely uncomfortable. But during these times, he could see some eerie things. Zishui's cousin believed without a doubt that Zishai could see these strange things because he had witnessed it himself. It was when they were very young, during a summer vacation. Their families, who were all colleagues of their fathers and had good relationships, decided to go on a trip together. They went to a grassland in the northwest of Beijing. Zishi's family and Zishui's, the cousin's family, were among those who went. The parents and children had a great time riding horses and eating roasted lamb. As evening approached, they returned to their accommodation, yurts. At that time, it was common for tourists to stay in yurts on the grassland. However, staying inside the yurt was quite boring. After playing some cards and finding it uninteresting, someone suggested, "Let's go for a walk. It's not dark yet. Let us explore the area nearby." Not far from their accommodation was a small-scale architectural site. What kind of architecture was it? It was like an ancient city, but fake, a set built by a film crew. It was supposed to be a scene from the Three Kingdoms period for a TV drama. The locals called it Three Kingdoms City. For some reason, after the TV drama was filmed, the set was never dismantled. The adults thought it might be a good place to take photos. Three Kingdoms City had a small path that was quite desolate with weeds on both sides of the road. The adults led a group of excited children who were eager to explore into Three Kingdoms City. At that time, Zishui's cousin and Zishai were among the children who followed the group inside. Once they entered through the city gate, they saw that the set was arranged with two intersecting streets forming across, except for the path leading to their accommodation from the city gate. The other three directions were dead ends. The place wasn't particularly large, but it wasn't small either. On both sides of the road were wooden houses built in the style of those from the Three Kingdoms period. There was a small house with a veranda and stone steps below, which seemed quite exquisite and likely belonged to a wealthy family. The windows of the house were covered with paper, which had become dirty and tattered over the years with holes in the paper. However, the door was locked, so they couldn't get inside. The kids were curious and peered through the windows. The cousin looked for a while, but saw nothing inside except cobwebs. It was very dirty. The kids got a face full of dust and started coughing. The adults scolded their children. These windows are so dirty, full of germs and bacteria. Don't catch a cold. Stay away and follow us inside. The most peculiar place in the Three Kingdoms city was at the corner of the cross street, where there was a tombstone. It read the tomb of Ji Zhouyu in Gongshao. Clearly, it was part of the set. Fa Xiao's tomb certainly wouldn't be in Kangxi Prairie. Where exactly is it? There is still some debate. Some say it is in Gaochuan, Kang County, Hebei, called Shin, and Gao Longhua Ancient Tomb. Others say it is in Yuanjin, Bichuan Lao Village, Yuan Lao Township, Shangshui County, Henan Province. At that time, when the cousin and Zishai saw the tomb, the TV drama Three Kingdoms hadn't aired yet, but both of them had listened to Mr. Yuan's story and knew about the Battle of Guandu. Cao Cao defeated Yuan Shao, and this was Yuan Shao's tomb buried here. Next to the tombstone was a well. From a distance, it looked very realistic. When the kids got closer, they saw it wasn't a real well. It was just a shallow pit dug down about a foot or so. The kids were very excited. There were only their families there, so they treated it as an adventure. At that time, one of the accompanying adults had a camera, old-fashioned one that used film. It was a novelty at the time, so they started taking photos all around the city, taking turns to capture the moment. The kids, including the cousin, wandered around. Suddenly, they noticed something was off with Zishai. His eyes were red and swollen, and he kept tearing up. "What's wrong? What happened to your eyes?" Zishai said. "My eyes are itchy. When I looked through the big window just now, some dust got in and it feels terrible. The more I rub, the itchier it gets." The cousin didn't take it seriously at first. "All right, stop rubbing. The more you rub, the more tears will come." He pulled Zishai along, excitedly exploring the area. When they got to the Set's Yuan Shao tomb and the well, some adults were taking photos there. Zishai looked very nervous, his face pale, and he kept staring around. Zishai said, "Let's go quickly. Don't go over there." The cousin was puzzled. "Why not?" Zishai insisted. "Don't go there. It's not good." The cousin replied, "But the parents are taking photos over there." At that moment, one of the parents called out, "Come here, we're going to take a photo." Zishai said, "Don't go there. Don't stay here. It's not good to take photos here." The cousin asked, "Why is it not good to take photos here?" The parents shouted again, "Come here, come on. Let's take a couple of photos. Hurry up." The parents insisted they come over, but Zishai kept pulling on the cousin's arm, saying, "Don't go there." The cousin didn't listen to Zishai and ran over. The adults were taking photos and joking around. Then they noticed something was off. They looked up and saw that the sky had changed dramatically. The sky darkened very quickly. It was evening when the cousin took the first photo, and the light was still normal. By the time they took the third photo, they needed to use the flash because it was getting too dark to see anything. Everyone looked up and saw that the clouds had thickened rapidly. In no time, there was a downpour. The rain was so heavy and sudden that it was impossible to stay in the open. The group had nowhere to hide, so they each found a nearby house with a roof and took shelter on the steps. It was the first time the cousin had witnessed such a natural phenomenon. Lightning cracked and flashed from the sky, accompanied by thunder. Not only him, but all the adults and children were stunned by the sudden change. The lightning was purple and red. The heavy rain with strong winds created a scene that was both spectacular and eerie. The rain hit the ground so hard that it seemed to produce white smoke. The wind howl led through the broken windows, sounding like someone laughing or crying, which was very unsettling. Zishai was standing next to the cousin at the time. The boy was very nervous and hadn't spoken a word for a while. He was holding the cousin's hand, which was sweaty. The cousin asked, "What's wrong? Why are you so quiet?" Zishai suddenly blurted out. "He's gone." The cousin was confused. "Who's gone?" Zishai quietly pointed in the direction they were facing, which was towards a moon gate, and said, "It went through there." The cousin looked in the direction Zishai was pointing, but it was pitch black and he couldn't see anything. What had gone? In just a few moments, the airy downpour stopped abruptly as if someone had turned off a faucet. Then the clouds parted, revealing the original sky. Although it was already getting dark, it was now the normal evening twilight color, a stark contrast to the earlier dark, stormy sky with thunder and lightning. The whole process took only a few minutes. The adults, seeing that the rain had stopped, quickly led the children back towards their accommodation. The cousin later asked Zishai again, "What exactly did you see? What thing walked away?" But Zishai remained silent. Later, when they returned to Beijing and developed the photos, something strange happened. The photos that were taken at the Setz Yuanshao tomb and the well couldn't be developed properly. No matter how many times they tried, the results were the same. It wasn't that the photos couldn't be developed at all. The top and bottom parts of the photos could be seen, showing the sky and the edges of the well or tomb. But the middle part where people were standing was completely black, as if it had been painted over with ink. It wasn't a problem with the photo developing process, the way the photos were taken, or the camera itself. The issue was only with these specific photos. No matter who took the photo or who was in it, the middle part was always black. The cousin, realizing something was off, pressed Zishai for answers. The cousin said, "What did you see that day? What thing walked away? You mentioned the moon gate, but I didn't see anything."